Right now on Today in AZ, COVID-19 is costing the Valley hundreds of jobs. We'll be telling you what will not be coming to Goodyear.
Plus, ballot breakdown. We're verifying a viral mail-in ballot claim that could impact the election.
And are you okay with being censored on social media? We're asking because Twitter is pulling the plug on some online heavy hitters over what they say is misinformation. We want to hear from you. Cast your vote right now at 12news.com/bullhorn. But right off the bat here, we want to take you out to some breaking news that we're following in Tempe, where crews are on the scene of a hazmat situation. Lots of smoke. You see off in the distance there from this ADOT camera at the Loop 202 near the 101. You're looking at the area of what seems to be Tempe Beach Park over there about where Sun Devil Stadium is on Tempe Town Lake. You see that large plume of smoke coming up from the water there. So we're sending a crew on the way right now to figure out exactly what's going on. There's a lot of information circulating on social media about what this is, and we'll bring you the latest as soon as we can get that confirmed. And as you can see, we do have a lot to get to this morning, so thank you for staying with us. I'm Ryan Cody.
And I'm Rachel McNeil. Good morning to you. We're going to get to our big story this morning, the weather. And Crystal, the temperatures are dangerously high this week.
Even in the morning hours. For the last 72 hours, the mercury has refused to fall below that 90-degree mark. The last time we turned that 9 into an 8 was Sunday morning. 84 is typically where we would expect to be, but so far this morning, 91 is our minimum reading, which just missed tying the record warm low. And this would mark our 14th 90-degree morning of the year thus far. If we do it again tomorrow, which it's very likely we will tie the all-time record for the most in any given year. When you're starting off with those kind of temperatures in the morning, where do you expect to end up in the afternoon? In the danger zone. The mercury is going to be shooting up between 110 and 120 for a stretch of 4 days. We are going to see this excessive heat warning take hold for more than 5 million Arizonans.
Whew. All right, Crystal, thank you. The numbers are in, and there's been another wave of deaths connected to COVID.
Yeah, a new report from the Arizona Department of Health Services shows more than 100 more people have died from the virus. That brings the death toll to a little over 3,400 for the state.
Well, there have been more than 165,000 confirmed cases since the pandemic began, and a lot of those patients are between the ages of 20 and 44. And though a lot of younger people are catching the virus, it's mostly dangerous, meaning it's mostly killing patients which are over the age of 65. More than half of the deaths connected to the virus have been that in the senior citizen category.
Yeah, we've been talking for months about how the virus is weighing on the elderly. Now, Governor Doug Ducey is doing more to protect the most vulnerable. He just signed off on a task force for long-term care. In a nutshell, the group will focus on recommendations for long-term care facilities. The recommendations are expected to cover long-term care, visitation, and resident safety. Now, this pandemic is not just taking lives, but also livelihoods. The virus has taken a huge hit on our economy, closing businesses and keeping some from ever opening. Nike announced it's canceling plans for a big new manufacturing facility in the city of Goodyear. Team 12's Mark Liverman is live there this morning. So, Mark, what is Nike saying?
Yeah, guys, we're live on 143rd Avenue, just south of Van Buren. This is the area right here where that facility was expected to open. Now Nike is blaming the coronavirus for its decision to back out. It just released a statement saying, in part, we are experiencing unprecedented times, and due to the COVID-19 impact, we will no longer be investing in our Goodyear facility. We thank the city of Goodyear and the team we have worked with to date. They have been outstanding partners. Looking, though, at the numbers, Nike lost $790 million in the fourth quarter. Digital sales couldn't make up for the loss of revenue after stores closed in most of the world. So what did the original deal include? Well, Nike planned to invest $184 million in its third U.S. manufacturing line for Nike Air sneakers. The facility was supposed to create 500 jobs over 5 years. Last year, Goodyear City Council unanimously approved $2 million in incentives to get the company to come here. Now, don't forget, the plan ran into some controversy around that same time when Governor Doug Ducey threatened to pull state incentives. That came after Nike decided not to sell this shoe, which included the Betsy Ross flag, a Revolutionary Era emblem. Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who has an endorsement deal with Nike, told the company the flag recalls an era when black people were enslaved. Nike said last year it planned to open this facility sometime in 2020. We're live in Goodyear. Mark Liverman, Today in AZ.
All right, now we want to get back to that breaking news that we've been following out of Tempe, where crews are on the scene of what's being called a hazmat situation with lots of smoke. You see that off in the distance. You're looking from the ADOT camera at Loop 202 westbound, McClintock Drive. That's near the 101 interchange. And we've heard that our Sky 12 is there now. And there you go. You're looking at some live pictures of what appears to be a train on fire, which is on the bridge there over Tempe Town Lake. If you're familiar with the area, you know that is by the Tempe Center for the Arts area over by Tempe Beach Park. Rachel, check out all the flames there. That is just a scary situation.
No, this is unbelievable. And now that we're looking at a tighter picture of it, you can see just how active the flames are at this situation, collapsing part of the bridge there that goes over Town Lake. And here you're pulling out a little bit wider. You can see this is a large area. We've seen a lot of activity of folks who were just out for their morning jog or run or morning commute this morning and saw these flames, and look at the incredible black smoke that's going up over a good portion of the bridge there this morning. As you see, we pan over to the side of it. Fire crews, of course, trying to work on this, but you can see by that black smoke, not making a whole lot of progress at this hour. And this smoke can be seen for miles, Ryan.
It appears that at least 4 cars on this train are on fire. At least smoke is coming from at least 4 to 5 cars. And then you also can see that there's that white car there over the land that has been derailed. Clearly that has fallen off of the tracks, fallen off of the bridge. Again, you're looking live over Tempe Town Lake, where a train has apparently been derailed. We're still waiting on some confirmation on exactly what happened there, but from those pictures from Sky 12, you can see that. And now what you're looking at is this view from downtown Phoenix on our roof cam from the 12 News studios here. And you can see we are, I would say, at least 5 miles away from that scene, and how big that plume of smoke is that you can see from right now. It is impressive, Rachel.
Yeah, definitely. We're hearing from some folks on the ground there as well this morning, and you can see some of the crumpled cars there to the left of your screen, right before the ones that caught fire, then moving forward. Just a lot of damage in that area, that's for sure. Now, one of the things we're working on, of course, is trying to figure out what exactly is in those train cars. And of course, we're assuming that that's why hazmat is there as well, because they're going to try to figure out what kind of damage, whatever was in those train cars has now exploded and caught fire. You see some of the fire trucks there on the ground, and some of the smoke that's kind of working there to the left of your screen to try to put out this fire. But it is definitely a big one, and it's raging and causing a lot of that bridge and the metal just completely crumpled. Just unbelievable pictures.
And that's a good point to bring up about the hazmat situation that we were told by officials in Tempe, because we don't know exactly what was in those train cars that caused it to catch fire. But clearly that fire so hot, burning so hot there, that the train cars, at least 4 of them, seem to be disintegrated on top of the tracks there over Tempe Town Lake. One other thing that we were able to notice from that wider shot is that you see that it looks like crews are attacking this thing from the ground, because I don't know how else they would attack it at this point, being over the water right there. And, you know, good news, bad news. I mean, the good news, I guess, is it is over water. It's not over other roadways where people could have been walking or driving this morning. But that is a very popular area for folks to go jogging and walking in the mornings, especially people trying to get away from the heat. But right now, I mean, look at that close shot right there. You see the flames are raging off of that train car there.
Yeah, exactly. And when you don't know what's inside those rail cars, it's really hard to tell exactly how to attack it. But I know you can see, again, as you mentioned, some of the water from the fire trucks down below as they try to reach that part of the bridge. But again, where the bulk of the flames are is right over the water there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try to attack this. I know they're starting there from the left of your screen, trying to move forward, but we could see some of the flames stretching well across. You see a helicopter going past there, over there, to assess the situation. We see the fire trucks down below, but I mean, just engulfing so many cars on that train, as the ones to the back there to the left completely crumpled. So we're assuming this was some sort of derailment that then caused these to catch fire. Pulling out here on the wider picture, you can really see the expanse of the damage and the huge plumes of just black smoke that are right there, engulfing almost the entire span of the lake there with the bridge. And yeah, firefighters really have their work cut out for them with this one, because it's such a unique situation, given that the bridge is, as you mentioned, over water, trying to attack it from both sides there.
And we're getting a wide picture now of what we're actually seeing over Tempe Town Lake and getting a better glimpse of where we are. So this looks like it is just east of the Tempe Center for the Arts. You see that big roof off in the distance there, the triangular shaped roof. That's just east of the Tempe Center for the Arts. And a lot of folks do use this area, Tempe Beach Park, to go walking and running in the morning. We also saw in one of those close-up shots, it does seem that crews have that street blocked off, thankfully, as right there is a roadway that actually leads towards Mill Avenue. So that is something that a lot of folks drive on. And this is a tweet that I just saw earlier from Vicki Colvin. Now, she was out there this morning, and you could see what that looks like from the ground right now, as we do have a crew on the way. Team 12's Jen Wall is on her way there right now to bring us a live report from the scene. But for now, we're combing through social media, and what we can see, that right there is from Renee Conover, and she shows the fire out there from her backyard at Fire in Tempe. Again, you can see that plume of smoke as she's several miles away from this situation. And this is something, Rachel, that we have to watch very closely, as it could be potentially a hazmat issue right there with those train cars.
Yeah, absolutely. As we try to figure out to get some word on what kind of cargo those rail cars were carrying, and looking back live at our live pictures there from our chopper, which is over Tempe Town Lake at this hour. And you could see to the left the crumpled cars there as the train derailed, and then you just see how many cars just disintegrated. I mean, there's really not a whole lot left of the ones that have been really engulfed in flames there. Obviously, firefighters still working on active flames as we speak. They're making a little bit of progress, but you know, from our vantage point, it looks like the majority of it is still raging with that thick black smoke. And as Ryan mentioned, a lot of what we heard this morning, these initial reports that probably came in, you know, closer to 6:20,
right,
were from the walkers and the joggers and the people who've been, you know, using that area to try to get out. It's such a lovely area. You can see another fire truck there on the other side of the bridge attacking it from the backside. But folks who were out and about trying to get some morning fresh air, get in their walk or their jog, and that's how those initial reports came in. And from this side, now that Sky 12 has moved around, you really can see those rail cars there that have derailed toward the back of the train, how they're going down and collapsing in the bridge there, and then just a ton of fire flames that they're still dealing with.
Yeah, and this is the best look that we've seen so far of those cars that have been derailed. And you can also see now, too, because we're on the other side of the flames, our chopper seems to be on the west side of this bridge at this point, looking east, looking southeast, and you see that the bridge itself has apparently collapsed. And we're still not sure exactly whether the bridge collapsed because of the fire or the bridge collapse caused the fire. But right now you're seeing all those flames right there. And the other interesting thing about this, if you know the area, that bridge actually goes over Lakeside Drive there, which turns into Rio Salado Parkway, or Lakeside Drive is right next to Rio Salado Parkway there. And Rio Salado looks like it is completely blocked off by this bridge that has collapsed. And that is right in front of Tempe Beach Park. Now, obviously, this is a bridge that just uses the train. But that bridge right next to it is a very popular walking bridge for a lot of folks who, especially in the morning during our summer temperatures, like to use that bridge. So We're certainly hoping that nobody was there when this train caught fire, because look at that. There used to be, on those tracks, there used to be at least 4 or 5 cars, judging by what I'm counting here, and those cars have disintegrated. They're not there at all. Now you see something falling off of the bridge, making a splash into the water. And Rachel, that's possibly the best part of this, though, is that there would have been nobody underneath it. We're talking about a situation over water. And
we haven't heard any reports of any injuries come in or anything like that. But from looking at it from here, now that Sky 12 has been able to kind of circle around to this backside here, you can really see it might have been the sheer weight of the cars that caused that section of the bridge to just crumple down to the ground below. I mean, unbelievable when you think about how this thing is built and the strength of what it is. But when you're talking about a derailment in these cars that were full with something, we've not been able to identify yet. But the sheer weight of that, I mean, it's just like a Coke can. It just completely crumpled underneath there. And you see all the ladder trucks that are out there as firefighters are trying to attack this at every angle, making some progress. They're closer to where the bridge is actually broken. But a lot of flames over the part where the major section of Town Lake is. You see all those active flames and the plumes of smoke there as well. But just a huge, huge fire there over Tempe Town Lake. I know a lot of folks are just tuning in at this hour. Again, we've been talking about this fire that broke out after 6 a.m. this morning. Fire crews responded to the scene, and you're looking at live pictures there. And so definitely, if you are on the Loop 202, you're going to see it on your morning commute. So just be careful as you're traveling to where you need to get this morning.
And we do want to let everyone know that we have a crew on the way to the scene right now to bring you a live report as soon as we get there, as firefighters continue to attack what's being called a hazmat situation right now. Clearly, there's a fire. The hazmat part of it is something that we're just not sure of yet, depending on what is in those tanker cars. We do want to throw things over to meteorologist Crystal Henderson, though, because Crystal, the temperatures are way up this morning, and you see firefighters not only having to deal with the temperatures as they are outside, but also now these flames coming off of this fire. That's just a lot to deal with.
An excessive heat warning has taken hold for today, and those don't get thrown in place just for the afternoon highs. It's the mornings, too, that are unbearable. Right now, it's reading 92 degrees on the Tempe thermometer. That's just rough. In addition to that, the sun is up now, beating down on us. The mercury is only going to be taking off from here. And an additional blow for us, in addition to this excessive heat, is an ozone high pollution advisory. Plus, you have all that smoke getting pumped into the air, which is just continuing to cause the air quality to deteriorate. So 2 things ganging up on firefighters. We don't have any crazy winds to speak of at this moment, but just miserable conditions in terms of the heat. And it has been humid lately. Our monsoon pattern has been active. We haven't received a whole lot of rainfall here in the valley, but surrounding us, been pumping up those dew points into the 50s. So it's been feeling very muggy out there. Drier air is starting to take hold, but on the same note, we're dialing up on those temperatures. So right now, 92 degrees, climbing, it seems, with every passing few minutes. We're going to be quickly shooting up into the 100-degree territory a little bit later on this morning. So as they continue to work on this, dealing that heat and awful air quality.
And Crystal, anything you can tell us about the winds right now?
Sure, I can absolutely go ahead and pull up some observations here. Not looking at really anything at this point that is anything worth mentioning. We have light, if any, winds. I don't even have anything registering on my maps at current observation stations. I'd say 7 miles an hour is the highest observation I'm seeing around Tempe. So they don't have to combat the winds exactly. It's just those hot temperatures making it that much more brutal to fight that fire. Plus, that radiant heat can always intensify the flames, and it's just nothing is making it comfortable for firefighters to work on this fire at the moment.
And one thing that we're noticing, too, when the camera pulled out wide there is just how long this train is. It seemed like it spanned for, I mean, what could be thousands of yards beyond that in the southern direction there from the lake. We did receive a text, I want to say, from, and this is a great part about what we're doing here because we love to get you involved in the show. Ross Hansen just texted us, and he says that he's watching the train derailment, and he believes, he's a former railroad employee, he believes that the 2 cars on fire are from Dimensional Lumber. Now, that's not confirmed, but that would be an interesting thing to know if those 2 cars are, in fact, from that particular company. I'm not sure exactly what they would be holding on those cars, but let's take you to what Valley Metro is saying right now, because also a lot of people do work in that area, and so because everything's closed down, we saw that Rio Salado is obviously closed down because the bridge has collapsed over that road. Valley Metro says that additional information here, Valley Metro is in the process of assembling buses to transport passengers at Mill Avenue / 3rd Street and Center Parkway in Washington for both east and westbound travel. Please watch for updates. So if you are trying to get to work in that area, first of all, maybe it's a good idea to hold off just at the moment because of what's happening. But if you do need to get there, Valley Metro is working on a way to bus some of those employees in to the area. We do know that on that south side of Tempe Town Lake, there are many office buildings where a lot of folks are heading into work now, or it's 6:51 here on a Wednesday morning, and this would be a very busy time for commuters to head into work.
And from what we've seen there, when we pulled out on our wider shots on the 202, traffic is definitely slowing down there as you get closer to the lake and eastbound. People, of course, naturally looking over the side, trying to figure out what's going on as they're seeing firefighters try to battle this blaze there that's on Tempe Town Lake. So if you do need to take the 202 in that direction to come in, you may want to hold off because it's definitely slowing down traffic in that area. Also check with Valley Metro and their schedules to try to see if that's a way perhaps to get into work, but it might be a good time this morning to try to hold off because it's definitely an active situation here. Again, we're taking our live look a little bit closer in. You get a tighter shot there. As you can see, that's train still actively on fire in that area as firefighters try to battle this blaze from both sides of the bridge there.
The ladder truck there that's a new development, as we've seen in just the last couple of minutes, as they're trying to keep their distance from what we believe is a hazmat situation, as we've been told by the city of Tempe. Let's take a look at what some of you are showing us in the pictures from our viewers out there this morning. This one from Daniel. UP Railway Bridge across Tempe Town Lake is down on fire. Rio Salado is closed, which is confirming what we thought we saw there from the Sky 12 video. Something is on fire near Tempe Town Lake. We've definitely been able to confirm, though, Summer, that it is a train for sure on that bridge. Matt says a train fire and derailment in Tempe. Hashtag Tempe, hashtag train. And he could see that from as far away as he is, Rachel, which shows you just how large this plume of smoke is.
Yeah, and some of the pictures and videos that we were getting in earlier from folks who were a little bit closer in to the situation when it first kind of ignited there, definitely incredible pictures. As you're looking right now, we were good probably half an hour, 40 minutes into them battling this blaze and making some progress, but you can definitely see from these pictures as Sky 12 is live over the scene how they're trying to work this fire and try to get it put out. Again, because this is a train derailment, we don't have confirmation at this hour of exactly what was in these rail cars. We know hazmat obviously actively involved in this situation. We have not yet heard any reports of injuries as well. We know this is an area that people like to walk around beneath and around. But fortunately, we haven't gotten any word of any injuries at this point either. It looks like the situation is mainly contained to the bridge there over Tempe Town Lake.
Sure, and if you're just joining us now, hoping to tune into today's show in just a few minutes, we want to set the scene as to what we're witnessing right now. This is a live picture of what we're seeing from Tempe, from our own 12 News cameras. You can see the scope of what we now know to be a train fire over Tempe Town Lake on one of the bridges there, which would be just east of the Tempe Center for the Arts, if you're familiar with that area, which is, there's 2 bridges. One's a train bridge and one, I believe, is a light rail bridge that just goes over Tempe Beach Park. It would be the bridges which are just to the west of Tempe Beach Park, and at least 4 cars we've seen have caught fire it almost appears that all 4 of them, 4 or 5, have disintegrated completely in this fire. We've also seen that there are 2 cars, at least 2 white tanker train cars, that have derailed and fallen off. There you go. There's another picture of those white tanker cars that have fallen off. And that is what we assume at this point to be the origin of the hazmat situation that we've been told. We have no idea what is in those cars, but we do know that it seems like firefighters are trying to keep a safe distance away from whatever is leaking or whatever has caused those flames to come out. Now you do see at the bottom right or so of your screen, just above where it says the Today Show, there appears to be 2 firefighters that are inching ever so closer to this situation. And Rachel, from what we saw a few minutes ago with those flames, a few minutes ago, you would not have been able to stand where they're standing with how hot and how large those flames are. So it does seem that they're getting a little bit of control over this.
Exactly. Yeah, when we first got our live pictures, for sure, you could just see farther, it would be to the right of your screen down there over the lake, huge flames coming from these cars. And when you see them closer in, I mean, they are just ash and metal. I mean, completely just disintegrated from the sheer intensity of this fire. Again, just a note, if you do take light rail in that area, Valley Metro says, you know, the train service obviously has to be rerouted at Mill Avenue and 3rd Street and Center Parkway and Washington Street. So they've rerouted. They're going to plan on sending some buses in for folks who absolutely do need to get into work or need to get to where they need to be today. So affecting transportation at that point. Then also up on the freeway as well, you see the cars slowing down as people are kind of looky-gluing to figure out what exactly is going on over there. But you're not seeing, as you mentioned, Ryan, as much of the active flames. They're kind of smoldering at this point, so we're hoping that's a good sign in their fight against this fire. But I mean, look, it's just like Coke cans when you see how these train cars have just been bent there at that angle and hanging down below.
Yeah, and again, we have received several texts from some of our viewers this morning that have said, and this is consistent with what a lot of you are saying this morning, we do apologize for that video going out there just a second ago, is that we're told that it's a lumber product. A lot of people are texting us saying that they believe those are lumber cars, and I assume, Rachel, that would be a reason why the fire could burn so fast and so hot, was because they were carrying lumber. Again, that is not confirmed. It's just what several folks who have been texting us who actually say they used to work on railroads telling us that those cars have. So right now, as promised, we do have Team 12's Jen Wall is live on the scene. And Jen, I know you're just arriving there right now. What do you see and what are you being told?
Yeah, good morning to you, Ryan. So we are out at Tempe Town Lake, right by Tempe Center for the Arts, and I want to give you a look now at this train derailment. The smoke is just absolutely incredible. I was driving here from North Scottsdale, and you could see the smoke all along the 101 in the North Valleys, stretching all the way to the East Valley. And from our vantage point here, you can see the flames on the bridge. There are dozens of emergency vehicles here in Tempe, not only around this fire, they're also driving on the 202. And I want to say, if you're driving to work this morning, be careful if you're going to drive by this fire, because people are definitely slowing down in those areas. And so a lot of folks stopping out here at Tempe Town Lake to just take a look at crews as they're trying to dampen the flames here. We have confirmed that this fire has started with the train derailment, multiple train cars on fire. And from our Sky 12 video, we could see that the wood was burning, and it appears that that is what is causing the flames to continue and the huge plumes of smoke to stretch into the sky. Not sure if you guys can see this right now, but there's a ladder just pouring tons of water on top of these flames, trying to put this thing out, guys. And as you can imagine, you know, the weather a little bit cooler this morning, so a lot of folks out and about here at Tempe Town Lake getting some early morning exercise, and then also checking out the flames on this bridge. So guys, we are working on confirming information with Tempe crews, and as soon as we get more information, we will definitely bring that to you guys. Let me see, it looks like we have a fire truck here trying to get through to be able to put out the flames here. Sorry, we're just looking to see if we need to move our vehicles actually.